by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
New information has been released from California on a case that has stunned people around the world. In Riverside County, the parents of 13 children ages 2 to 29 were charged with imprisoning, abusing, and torturing them. David Begnaud is at the courthouse.
The victims report that as a punishment, starting many years ago, they began to be tied up. First with ropes.
District Attorney Mike Hestron provided the first chilling details of the abuse allegedly inflicted on the 13 Turpin children over the last 8 years. Regular beatings, strangulation, and starvation.
One of the children at age 12 is the weight of an average 7-year-old.
The torture allegedly occurred at 3 different homes, intensifying in recent years. The kids were chained in rooms for weeks, even months at a time, not even allowed to go to the restroom.
One victim at one point was tied up and hog-tied, and then when that victim was able to escape the ropes, these defendants eventually began using chains and padlocks to chain up the victims to their beds. Several of the victims have cognitive impairment and neuropathy, which is nerve damage as a result of this extreme and prolonged physical abuse. None of the victims were allowed to shower more than once a year. One of the reasons for the punishments were if the children were found to wash their hands above the wrist area, they were accused of playing in the water, and they would be chained up. Supposedly homeschooled, the children lack a basic knowledge of life. Many of the children didn't know what a police officer was. About the only thing the children were allowed to do in their rooms or chained up was to write in journals. We now have recovered those journals, hundreds of them. They would buy food, including pies, apple pies, pumpkin pies, leave it on the counter, let the children look at it, but not eat the food.
The children were discovered after their 17-year-old sister escaped through a window. She called police in a plan that was apparently in the making for the last 2 years. She took another sibling with her who eventually got scared and went back. 3 of the kids were chained when the police arrived. The parents pleaded not guilty. They're facing life in prison and are being held on $13 million bail. You heard the DA talk about the basic knowledge that the kids are lacking. Well, now Child Protective Services is trying to figure out whether or not the kids can even function on their own, as people are calling from all over the world, offering to adopt these kids. David Begnaud, CBS News, Riverside, California.
And up next in Health Watch, state health officials say Medicaid expansion is now covering 90,500 low-income Americans. And later in sports, former Grizz head football coach Bob Stitt is in line for a new position. See where coming up.